Yes, greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everyone. Here we are with another installation of the Bitcoin Otter Show. We've got Jessica watching. Hello, hello, Jess. We have a special guest today, everyone. So it's not just the Otter right now. She's dropped in to say a few things. This is my granddaughter, and your name is?
Audrey.
Audrey. Very nice, Audrey. What would you like to talk about today? Anything specific?
No.
How about we start with how old you are?
6.
How old are you? 6 years old. Wow. I'm a little bit older than 6. But you're doing very nice for 6. You look very nice today. Thank you for stopping by.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, I have a few questions for you. What are you good at, Audrey? What do you do well?
Math.
Math.
Yeah.
You're good at math, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Maybe we ought to have you on the show a little more often. You can figure out what these economists are doing in our crazy economy. Maybe. I don't know. So, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Um,
You can choose basically anything.
a police.
You want to be a policewoman?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think that's kind of dangerous. Grandpa might not, want to, foster that avenue too much. But hey, you can do what you want, Sarah, hi, how you doing? We got little Audrey, my granddaughter here. She's on the show today, and she's answering a few of our questions. So, two more. Do you have any favorite Bible verses?
Proverbs 17:17. A friend lives at all times.
Yes, that's very nice. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
one more. Thank God she knows the fruits of the Spirit. What are the fruits of the Spirit, Audrey?
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control.
Awesome. Now, if we all knew those, including myself, and practiced them, we'd be in a much better world, wouldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we would. Is there anything else you would like to say before we go into the rest of the show?
No.
No?
No.
That's all? Okay, well, you're invited to come on whenever you want, okay? If you
Okay.
have something to say, you want to talk to your friends or something like that, okay? You just let me know.
Okay.
Okay. All right, everybody. Audrey. Yay! Okay, you can stick around if you want, or you can go on with your day. It's up to you, okay? Now, here's some other things that we want to talk about today. We have Corey on. Javi's on. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, this is my granddaughter right here. She just had a few things to say. Yeah. Maybe more interesting than what I have to say, but I'm telling you, we got a lot to talk about. So, as you can see, we started at our 6 o'clock time slot. We have a few things going on, more than a few, as you well know, in clown world. So, what I'd like to do is go over the usual, right? So, gold, pre-show today, $2,050 for an ounce of gold. Silver, $26.07. If you're following these things, you know they're going up. Percentage-wise, they're going up pretty substantially. Your average mortgage rate right now for 30 years locked is 6.73%. Not good, but historically that's still not bad. 15-year rate locked in, 5.95%. So, what we're looking at here is a situation where it's going to be tougher for us to get properties, to get, where it is we want to be using loans, and mortgage is the biggest loan we have, right? So, I have something here. And we open up with Bitcoin, right? So, a friend of mine, Sammy, shout out to you, Sammy. This was a very good email. I hadn't seen this. But this is very interesting, and it has to do with Bitcoin, more so than anything else. So, it comes out in an email, and my buddy Sammy's, I'm going to have him on one of these days, but he's into real estate here in the Valley. So this popped to him in the email. So, hi there, Corey here. Corey, I don't think it's you. This guy spells it with an E. I don't know. Anyway, he says it's pop quiz time. Everyone hates pop quizzes, but this one stands out and stands to make you a fortune over the next 6 to 18 months. We'll see. And I'll give you one hint. The fortune will come outside of real estate. So with that as our backdrop, what asset class do you think was the top performer in quarter one? Was it stocks, bonds, Or was it my own old friend real estate? Remember, these are the words of Corey, who sent my friend Sam this email. So I'm going to start from the bottom. KBW index, don't know what that is. Wheat, we all know what that is. Didn't do too well. We're talking negatives. Brent crude, if you would invest that in the first quarter of 2023, you'd have lost money. U.S. Treasuries were getting into the green, the black, I guess you would call it. So 2.3%. Okay, Renee, good to see you. So if you would have invested in the S&P 500, 4.6% would have been your return over quarter one. Not too bad, right? The S&P 500, I'm sorry, that's 4.6%. The day or the DAX in Germany, not bad, 12.28% if you would have invested in the DAX in Germany in quarter one. The NASDAQ, 17%. So whatever was going on with the NASDAQ, it went counterintuitive to this crazy economy we have, 17%. And then I'm going to come to the star of the show. Okay, and everybody knows what it's going to be, right? It's Bitcoin. So in quarter one, if you would have started out with whatever your investment was, let's just say you put 100 grand into Bitcoin, if you had such a thing, right? Let's just say conservatively 10 grand. You would have made 71.7% on your money in Bitcoin. 71%, almost 72% in one quarter. So you would have had, if you put in 100 grand, you'd have had 171.7%, 10 grand, right? 17.7%, 0.17%, almost 17.2. So, ladies and gents, it's not just me when I tell you that Bitcoin is doing things. Not only will Bitcoin do things for you in a time of need, Bitcoin is moving. So a few weeks back, maybe 4, Bitcoin was at 16,000. Now 30,000, right? So Bitcoin's at 30,333 right now. So that's almost double. It's just, it's amazing. It's amazing what is happening right in front of our eyes. And I know it's still got that mystique about it, right? It's still got that, well, I can't see it, Otter. I can't touch it. I can't smell it. Can't put it in the bank. It's going to take a while. But once people get the grasp of the fact that, hey, I don't need the bank anymore because I'm the bank. You're the bank. When you have your cryptocurrency, in this case, Bitcoin, you're the bank. And I was just talking about this with a friend last night. And he was asking about how, he was unfamiliar with Bitcoin and how to get into it and all that. And he basically says that that's what's kept him out of it. And I told him, I said, what you'll realize when you get into Bitcoin, and you realize it fairly quickly, is that you are free from the regulations of the bank because, like I said, you're the bank. You make the regulations. You decide what you're going to do, how you're going to invest it, how you're going to move it, how you're going to keep it, where you're going to keep it. You're the banker. But with that freedom comes responsibility, because everybody's heard those horror stories of people that have bought into Bitcoin, especially the ones who bought into it when it was very low, and they lost the code that they used to get into their wallet, and now they can't get them out. They can't get the Bitcoin out. So remember, Bitcoin went up, its high was 67,000. So if they bought it at $1 or $2, imagine how many they must have bought, and then how much money they could have gotten when it was at the top. So there are people out there that have lost a lot because that responsibility factor comes in. And if we're irresponsible with what they call the keys to your wallet, and you lose them, then, all that effort that you've put into it for at least that chunk of Bitcoin is going to be gone. So there are techniques, there's tips, there's all kinds of stuff. And again, if you call me at 737-256-9339, or you check out my website, bitcoinotter.com, or you get me on email, bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. Okay, any one of those ways. And this is recorded, so you can come back and get all this info. I can walk you through this, okay? I don't charge a lot of money. I'll hand-to-hand just walk you right through it. It's not that hard. You could do it on your own, but the time involved, I know the learning curve for me was kind of steep. The time involved, it's a detractor to what it is you want to do. If you're like me, you don't have a lot of time. So I can, one, teach you how to do it in a quick amount of time. Two, you can pick my brain and learn the lessons that I had to learn, some of them the hard way. So, what else do we have here? Well, I don't have the video, but I want to say buddy, but everybody knows that would be a farce. So I'm going to say the resident, the guy who's in the White House. I guess he's in Ireland now. So his latest antic is he gets off this plane, and there is Sunak, I guess his name is, and he is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Britain, of England, right? So next to him is some sort of guard, attaché, military representative, something. He's this tall white guy with a uniform, a dress uniform on. So the resident gets off the plane and nearly pushes away this Sunak guy. He's kind of short. I think he's maybe he's Indian. He's a person of color in the parlance of our times. So the resident basically pushes him aside and just gives a snap salute to this guy who's maybe a bellhop or something. It's awesome. You got to see this stuff. You can't really make this stuff up. This it's like perhaps a Blake Edwards script. If you all like Blake Edwards, like the Pink Panther movies, if you're into that stuff, it's pretty much like that. I mean, now it's comical and it gets slapstick because Joe's just, he's Joe. And he does what he does. So it's funny in a sick way because he's supposedly leading our country. Yeah, it gives you a bad taste in your mouth, I know. But that's just a fact. That's what we're dealing with. This is 81 million votes, okay? I got to go over this again. YouTube, I'm going to lift up my hand. YouTube, I will not say anything derogatory about the 2020 elections. They were the fairest, most above board elections in the world. Ding! Because one of my videos got taken down because apparently I said something bad about the 2020 elections. Bad. Because we all know that Joe got 81 million votes. Joe Biden got 81 million votes. It kills me, and it's killing our nation. Yes, but I can't say it on YouTube. I can't say that it was anything other than a fair election, above board, and honest. Yes. I'm on Facebook over here. They didn't cancel my video, but YouTube canceled my video. So I can't say that anymore on YouTube. YouTube, the truth will not be spoken anymore on the Bitcoin Otter show about the 2020 election. I promise. No more truth. So, Oscar, good to see you, Oscar. We were just talking about the 2020 election and how, right, YouTube? It was great, right? Yeah, 81 million votes. Anyway, so we find ourselves where we find ourselves now. And I think sometimes what we need to do is take a little step back. So what I've thought about for this show was to give a quick refresher, okay? To give a quick rundown as to what it is and why it is we're in the situation we're in. So how does it happen? What is it that happens that we get in the situation we're in? Well, basically, and again, throw up some comments, okay? I got some comments. I'm gonna hopefully either have them here or I have an assistant today, so we're gonna be able to read those comments. So throw your comments up there if you differ in opinion, if you have another opinion, if you like what I'm saying or not, whatever. I will debate it with you. So here's the deal. Pretty much worldwide, things are run by criminals. And you're like, Otter, you mean to tell me that everybody's a criminal? No, not everybody. But the vast majority of the people that make office have to go through hoops. They are, how would you say, the offices are governed by gatekeepers, okay? So let me bring this to the Hollywood perspective. everyone has heard of the casting couch, right? So young starlets from the beginning of Hollywood to today have to go through some scumbag Hollywood producer like a Weinstein to get to the role that they want and they dream of, right? So Weinstein's gonna, take his pound of flesh, literally, and guys like that will determine whether or not someone makes it to the big screen. It's possible that talent is involved, but we all know that there's a lot of horrible actors and actresses out there. So suffice it to say that there is a vetting process and it doesn't involve talent, usually. So the same thing is in politics. Do you play ball? Okay? Do you have anything they can use against you if you get out of line? Two very important questions. So normally what they'll do, basically being vetted, they'll send you to something like an Epstein Island scenario so that they can get some sort of dirt on you. And once they have that dirt on you, then they control you because they can always throw it out and destroy you. So, Ian, good to see you, Ian. So what they're doing is basically they either dirty you up or you're already dirty in order to get the position that they want you to be in. So you don't necessarily have to be a criminal in the beginning, but you just got to be willing to try. It's basically what it is in this new world order, this new world political structure. So most of them are dirty, and we're being controlled by criminals. So the Dave on X22 report has a good analogy towards this. And basically, it has to do with the mafia. So if you're in the mafia and you're in a town, especially a smaller town, but sometimes the bigger towns work too, they control the police, they control the judiciary, they control the politicians, they control everything. Okay? So in order to get a fair trial, so to speak, in order to get a fair shake in anything, you've got to pay your cut. You've got to pay your dues, okay? So the same thing has been expanded worldwide, ladies and gents. And I know this is a lot for people who watch a lot of TV and stuff, and they really believe that these people that are on the TV are telling them the truth. They really believe that the news coming across on the airwaves is the truth. It's very shocking. And the best analogy I can give is if you've ever seen the movie The Matrix. Okay, it's an older one, but man, it's a classic, right? So this guy Neo, played by Keanu Reeves, he comes out of the Matrix where people are stored bodily in one place and their mind is transported by this computer program to another place. And they think they're alive, they think they're doing these things, but it's just a computer contract or a computer construct. Okay, so in the Matrix, if you get pulled out, your mind goes through a very violent process of recognizing what reality is versus the matrix that you were in for however long you thought you were alive. So what I'm going to compare this to is that matrix. So when people come out of this lie land, this land of mistruths and lies called mainstream media, it's a shock to their system. It's a shock to their thought process, and they have a lot to deal with. So in the movie, Neo puked, right? So he popped. He couldn't, his mind just got all discombobulated, and he yacked on screen, right? So that was part of it. But they alluded to the fact that some people had a conniption and died, right? So if you're in the matrix for a while and you got to come out and you're realizing what all the lies that were told to you, some people have the shock and they die. So as we go through this process of the Great Awakening, some call it, people are going to have growing pains, and their brains are going to have to conceptualize of things that they never would have been able to even imagine prior. And the very first reaction is denial. It's always denial. That's not true, and they use the C word very often. It's a conspiracy theory. So what we've learned, if anything, since the pandemic is that conspiracy theory is basically trailed by obvious truth in about used to be a 6-month period. Now we're talking it's weeks. So when you see the people that are tracking these things and they're talking about our food chain is being destroyed, it's only a matter of time before you realize, wait a minute, didn't like 18,000 dairy cows die the other day? Didn't someone blow up a milk factory? gee, do you think these people might know what they're talking about? Maybe I ought to prepare for some sort of disaster. Maybe my family would appreciate it if I stored up some food. Wait a minute, how's my 401k plan going? Wow, maybe I ought to look into buying some gold or silver or Bitcoin. Wow. See, the things that most of the people that tune in to this show know already are dawning on more and more people every day. And they need people like us to help kind of shepherd them into a way where they can protect themselves and their family. Now, you're always going to have your naysayers. You're always going to have somebody at Thanksgiving dinner or birthday parties that's, going to point the finger at you, call you a conspiracy theorist, and laugh. But I'll bet that person's going to come and want into your stored food when they can't find anything at HEB. Okay? For those of you that are listening to the show anywhere north of Texas, HEB is the best grocery store in the world. Anyway, I digress. So, what I'm getting at is, we have a situation where people are just figuring out that the vast majority of people that call policy in the world are criminals. So this criminal cartel, what we're ruled by, is being overthrown. So when we see this procedure, this how would you say it? This craziness in the world. When we see this is a war. It's not a bullets and bodies war yet. Lord willing, it won't come to that. I mean, it already is in Ukraine with the usual suspects, poking the bear to the point where Russia went in and dealt with it, is dealing with it. But what we're having now, this war, is an informational war. And yeah, if you ever saw Alex Jones and his show InfoWars, that's exactly what it's all about. And oh wait, Otter, Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist. Oh, he sure is. But if you were to track the things that he's been saying for decades, you'll see that he's right on many of them. And those that we can't prove, well, maybe he's right on those too. So, to backtrack, we have criminals ruling things, criminals running things. They have a way of keeping themselves criminals and keeping the criminal cartel from breaking up. There is a war on the criminal cartel. Who are these patriots? Who are these people? I personally believe, that it is it started out small. I believe they were in military intelligence, both active and retired, here in the United States military. I believe it had to happen that way because what happens in the world mainly happens in the world of freedom, mainly happens in this country for good or for evil. And it's been a lot of evil. So I think these people woke up, and I don't know when, or they always were awake to what was going on. And they mounted a counterinsurgency prior to the very bald-faced insurgency that happened in our nation. And we won't get into that because we're on YouTube. 81 million votes. Yeah, sure. So what happened in my estimation is, and there's a lot of documentation to this, I can get into it if you'd like to offline with me, bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. I can give you all kinds of sources on this, okay? But suffice it to say, what I believe happened was the good guys got the upper hand, and they did so quickly and decisively. So what we're seeing now is sort of like a movie, and it's basically their attempt, their best bet at waking up the normies. Because if we look back in history, we can see cycles, right? Andrew Jackson killed the banks, and that's why they tried to kill him. But he knew that what he had to do was he had to get the backing of the people. And that's what these patriots in nations are doing. Say what you will, okay, about Xi, about Putin, Orban in Hungary, Bolsonaro in Brazil, and even now what we're seeing as he applies to get into BRICS, López Obrador in Mexico is applying to get into the BRICS nations. Here he is right on the doorstep of the United States, but he knows what's up. He knows the criminal cartel. We think the one that's bringing drugs off over the borders, that's the big cartel? No, ladies and gentlemen. The biggest cartel is the criminal parasite class that runs and policy for the world. So back to the story of how this is going. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I just want to lay down the structure for what's going on in our world so that you have your hat, you can hang your thought cap, okay, on this hat hook. So what we have now is a process of an awakening. So people are awakening to the fact that things are not right in the world. Why do we have a lot? I get this question a lot. What is it with this crazy press of transgenderism, activism, all of these things that are coming together quickly in an accelerated fashion? Here's the answer, ladies and gents, to the best of my ability to understand it. They never thought she would lose. And I'm talking about Hillary Clinton. They never thought she would lose in 2016. They had a 16-year full court press plan, and it was Obama for 8 years. Now, yeah, the seeds were sown with that criminal crime family Bush and the criminal Clinton clan way prior, right? But when the Biden crime family, or the Obama crime family came on the scene, they had 8 years of sowing the seeds of their plan. Then they were going to accelerate and hit the gas with Hillary Clinton. She lost. They never expected that, ladies and gents. They never expected her to lose. Donald Trump came down from Trump Tower on the escalator and took him by storm, right? Those of us who are patriots and we saw that he wanted to make America great again, we signed on, he won, okay? Now, he put back the cartel, okay, the cabal, the usual suspects, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call these people, okay, the bad guys. He put them back, he put their plan back 4 years. So now they're not only having to make up for those 4 years, they have to stay on schedule with the 4 years that this was to represent the last 4 years of the Clinton regime. So she was going to get us in war with Russia. She was going to get us in war with China. All this was supposed to happen. It didn't, of course, because Trump got in. So they went with Plan B, which was the plandemic. Okay? Are you following? I don't want to go too fast for a lot of people that don't follow conspiracy theory, but this is a comprehensive roadmap from where things really went off the rails and where we're at now. And I figured I needed to cover this just so that people could understand where we're at, okay? By my figure. If you have other things to add, subtract, or argue with, please, comments, emails, bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com, or call me up, 737-256-9339. That's the Otter line. So, we have an accelerated process. This is why everything is being pushed on us at once, ladies and gents. From censorship, okay? 81 million votes, YouTube. From censorship to scandals to all the way up to and including now arresting a candidate and former president of the United States on made-up charges. Okay? Oh, there's a crime there, Otter. There's a crime. Yeah, well, they passed on said crime many times, and now they're grasping at straws. So you can see the desperation, and this is one of the proofs I have to the fact that the good guys are winning. If the bad guys had control, ladies and gents, would they really have to stoop to these tactics? Anyone who knows anything about military planning, and I don't pretend to know a lot, but I know a little. Even how you would say quasi-paramilitary type things, you have levels of planning. The strategic is up here. Tactics are below strategy. Okay? If you're in control because your strategy is good. And for many generations, we're talking, some people believe extreme beliefs take you to Egypt, okay, with this group. That's why they have the Eye of Horus. You get the actors and the singers doing the one eye sign in all the photos, and the photo ops for the movie posters are one eye signs, right? So if you're conservative, you say, okay, when the country was founded, or even less extreme would be when the Federal Reserve in 1913 came into play. Regardless, it goes way back. The strategy is overarching, meaning it's worldwide. If the pandemic taught you nothing, it taught you that these people can reach out and control nearly every country in the world. So, their strategy has broken down. They are using tactics now. And we hear this buzzword that I don't personally like because the mainstream media uses it a lot. Fox News uses it. Okay? And they're ugly. The banana republic term. Okay? They're going to use that as a catch-all, and it's going to distract you if you allow it from the truth, from the roots of the problem. So, what's going on is a breakdown in strategy of these evil people. So now they're relying to tactics, and the tactics are crazy, unheard of tactics. They're breaking new lows in immoral behavior. But they have to. They are like a rat that you've cornered in your living room, and you have the broom, and you're gonna kill the rat, but it's hissing at you and clawing at you. It will bite you. It will give you rabies. It will do whatever because it wants to survive. That's what this parasite class is like, and the good guys have them cornered. And it continues the process. It highlights the process of awakening for what are called normies. The people that watch 6 hours of TV a day. The normies are starting to wake up. They don't really know how to process it yet, but you can help them. Your neighbors, maybe somebody in your family, you can help them wake up by explaining to them where we're at in the timeline, okay? And where I believe us to be at is just before we go over the precipice, because we're about to hit some dark times, ladies and gents. We haven't seen nothing yet. We had the number 2 and the number 3 bank run in the history of our nation the last few weeks, okay? SVB Bank, okay? Signal Bank or whatever it was called. Those were the number 2 and the number 3 largest bank runs in the Western banking system that have been recorded. That ain't nothing. Ladies and gents, we're going to see some ugly stuff. Don't believe me. Don't believe me. Certainly don't, I'm not one of those, hey, trust me guys. Look it up for yourself. Again, if you want some pointers, some information, where you can go to look for this stuff, bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. Now, where do we go off the precipice? Not just me, people much smarter than me are anticipating an alternative economic structure. Why? Because the people in the world, the BRICS nations especially, have woken up, have been waking up, and they're no longer using the US dollar to buy the biggest commodity in the world at this point, which is oil. So they're no longer doing this in US dollars. What does that mean? It means that more US dollars are going to come flooding back to the United States and overwhelm us in massive inflation. Our dollars are being devalued at a rate that we can only imagine. We can only imagine, unfortunately. So, like I've said before, if you have money to get real estate, might be a good time. If you have money to buy gold, might be a good time. Silver, good deal. I think you could still get a pure silver 1 ounce coin for $30. And Bitcoin, 71.7%, ladies and gents, this last quarter. Another thing about Bitcoin, international trade is utilizing Bitcoin. They're buying oil, at least settling the transactions in Bitcoin, ladies and gents. Because it's decentralized and no one centralized banking system or apparatus is in control of it, it's accepted worldwide. So industrial players are buying up Bitcoin as fast as they can find it. Bitcoin, and I'll retrace some of the things I've said in other shows, Bitcoin is a Class A asset. It stands along with real estate, side by side with real estate and gold on corporate ledgers. Ladies and gents, if you're not awake to Bitcoin yet, it's because you haven't been paying attention And if you need pointers, again, bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. I can get you started. I won't do the research for you. You don't want me to do that, but I can get you started. The reason we have this show is because people need to wake up and do it quickly, or we're going to see we're going to have a depression, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's the case. We're going to see massive suffering on a scale that we haven't seen in our lifetimes before. I'm in my 50s. I haven't seen this before. It hasn't always been prosperity, but it has been survivability. That might be called into question in these dark times. That said, we're getting towards the end of the show, and I never want to leave on a bad note, okay? I'm going to recap real quick. Had a great special guest, my granddaughter Audrey. You can go check that out. She gave us a few of her favorite things. And we started talking about how Bitcoin did in quarter one of 2023. 71.7%, ladies and gents. How's your 401k doing compared to 71.7%? Do I think it's going to sustain that? I'm not a financial advisor, everybody. Especially you, YouTube. I'm not a financial advisor. I won't pretend to be. But I believe that Bitcoin's going on a ride. And that ride is going to be in the stratosphere. But that's me. I'm not a professional. I'm not a financial advisor. So, take it for what it's worth. 71.7%. 71% is still in two digits, ladies and gents. I don't think we're going to be in two digits much longer. That's my assessment. I'll just leave it at that. As far as the rise of Bitcoin, I don't think we're going to be stuck in two-digit land for much longer. Because when this comes, when this heat hits us, the kitchen's going to be so hot, people are going to want to get out. And Bitcoin's a way out. So is gold. If you have the money, real estate. So is silver. Silver's good. If you're scared, oh, the Bitcoin is, I can't see it, I can't touch it. You can touch silver, you can see silver. You can stack it in your home or in your safe or in a vault. Okay? Vaults are good. There's one in Shiner, Texas. Texas Precious Metals. Okay? Check it out. Anyway, what we're looking at now is the darkness, but at the end of the darkness, we're going to have the light, ladies and gents. We're going to have the light. We're going to have the time of freedom that none of us have seen, because we've all been under the weight of the banking system since 1913. Okay? Then they took us off the gold standard in the 70s. Nixon did. Oh, it's temporary, they said. Same with your Social Security number. It's temporary, and we'll never use it to track you. Yeah, sure. Right? So, to wrap it up, the bad guys are losing. We're going to go through some rough times, but we're going to come out of them. There are things we can do right now. The Economic Ninja, great show. YouTube, check him out. The Economic Ninja. His catchphrase, and I love it, don't be scared, be prepared. I would love for everyone that watches this show to not be scared and be prepared. Nobody's running on HEB right now. And we don't have to run either. Stock up. Canned goods, dry goods, beans, rice, okay? Food, a little bit of financial help. We'll be able to ride it out, people. We'll be able to ride it out. And when we do come into that freedom that we haven't had before, I'm talking about freedom. I'm talking about no stinking income tax. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, oh, you're crazy, Otter. Maybe I am. But I think we're going to have freedom on a level that some of us are going to have difficulty comprehending and living in because we've had our hands tied for so long. So there's the good news, ladies and gents. I think that once this craziness is over, we're going to have the dawning of freedom like we've never known it before. There's still a lot of giants we got to slay. Don't get me wrong. But I think we're going to have the freedom to do it after the banks get crushed. Okay? Just me. I'm not a professional and I'm not a financial advisor. But this is why I'm doing what I do. I am a watcher on the wall, seeing what I see, and reporting it back to the people in the city. Take it for what it's worth. I'm going, but I'll be around. BitcoinOtter.media@gmail.com. You need to get a hold of me. 737-256-9339 is my phone number. Get in touch with me anytime. The Otter is out. Have a great day.